alongside my co-host Andres. What's going on, Andres?
How's it going, sir? Well, still doing pretty good. Another bye week. Feels like an eternity, but got a dynamo ahead of us. It's time to talk about it.
Yeah, I wasn't here last week to talk about the road loss against Frisco, and obviously, another week off, international break this time. Nothing with any reschedulings or whatever, but it seems kind of seems kind of odd. This MLS season's been kind of slow. Obviously, there's only been 4 games. We're a game behind because of the rescheduled game against New England, but it just seems like we're ready to go. Then up break, ready to go up break. So I
Yeah,
mean, just kind of you know revving up and pausing, revving up and pausing. So it's like I can't really get into full fandom as I want to. But obviously this week, I mean, not no games, no games this past weekend. So obviously not too much to talk about as far as a recapping or anything like that. Obviously we have the game against Seattle coming up this Saturday at 7 at Shell, our fourth home game already out of the 5 games that we played already. So obviously looking to continue our winning ways at home. Obviously against a dangerous Seattle team that always causes us issues, regardless if we play them in Seattle or at home. They're always ready to go. One of the top echelon clubs of the league ever since its inception. Um, your thoughts on Seattle, Andres? I don't know if you've had any time to kind of scout them or anything like that. I haven't had really an opportunity to um, your thoughts on them. Obviously, they're always tough to go against. They're always a well-rounded team, regardless if they have star players or if they're playing academy players. They're always well-rounded and ready to go.
I always have something to say about the Seattle Sounders because I hate playing the Seattle Sounders. For the
Mhm.
main reason that you just said, they are not just like a well-maintained team. They always know how to play against the Houston Dynamo. The Dynamo only beat them twice since 2016. That's
Yeah.
10 years. And it just goes to show not only their ability to just adapt to the conditions so as the years go by, the seasons go by, but really tells you how much how much of a nuisance they are against us. And honestly, I hate playing against them for that reason because it's gonna take a lot for us to get 3 points. Like it's just disgusting that we've only managed to beat them twice in that span of time. And the last time we beat them was back in 2021.
Yeah.
And the last time we hosted Seattle, we got a red card and we lost. And we're coming into the game. We're coming into this game with a loss against Frisco, and Shevchenko suspended, Marcani suspended. I feel like it's gonna be like 4 red cards against Seattle. Honestly, that's more so of a joke, but the one thing I really wanted to emphasize is just the fact that Seattle just kind of knows what to do at this point, and they're coming in with, I wouldn't say an advantage, but I would like to say that we have we still haven't sorted out the backline situation, and all they have to do is just press and get on Houston's head. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, I think Seattle has always had a strong mentality where they're not gonna break. They'll bend, right? But they're not gonna break, and that's regardless. Like I said, if they're a star-studded team or if they're a team full of academy call-ups and backup players, right? And I think their philosophy is basically, just make sure to hold down, hold it. I mean, obviously, ironically, no pun intended with us holding it down, right? But like, just do your job, play your position, and when we get the opportunity, we'll take full advantage of the opportunity. I mean, if you look at their roster, I mean, there's not really anything crazy as far as anybody who can light us up. I mean, obviously they have a couple of names like Jordan Morris, who I mean, obviously, if you told me Jordan Morris 5 years ago, it'd be there, but that would be somebody who I'd be scared of. But I mean, he's an older player. Jesus Ferreira, who obviously we have a lot of who we know a lot about of during his time with Dallas. Pau Ariola, a former USA men's national team player, and Christian Rodon and the Rodon brothers, who obviously have a lot of experience as well. in MLS and in international gameplay as well. But I mean, but like I said, they haven't really done anything as far as like a huge splash like they usually do when they have like a big name player come in to kind of lead, lead the be the point of the arrow as far as the offense goes. So with that being said, I mean, it's kind of tough to, especially this early on, to see what kind of Seattle Sounder team you're gonna get if they're gonna be full fledged as far as like trying to go and attack the ball early on and try to score goals early, especially because obviously they're coming at a time in Houston where it's not too hot yet, so they can still free flow and play their game. Or if they're willing to sit back and wait for the Dynamo to make a mistake, whether if it's another red card for the 50th consecutive game or whatever,
Right.
and then attack us that way. But at the end of the day, like I said, Seattle, whether you're playing them at home or away, um, a very sturdy team, a very competent team, and obviously a team full of veterans who know how to win and know how to pull out points. Whether like I said, whether if it's a tie or a win, and at this point, like I said, yeah, it's early on in the season, but obviously Seattle is a Western Conference foe, and you always want to be able to collect those points against your Western Conference opponents, especially when you're playing at home as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I'll obviously I'll be tuned into the game to see what's going on and all that good stuff. And obviously, you mentioned the two players out due to red cards and Shabachenko and Markanich. Um, Obviously, the bigger issue there would be Eric because he has been a starter for us. But obviously, I'm sorry, not Halter. Uh, Carlos is back. Andrade is obviously almost start. Rookie Agustin Rech is getting way more minutes than I think he ever expected to get. And obviously he just recently signed a first team contract, and he looks to be on board to be with us for the rest of the remaining season as far as a first team player goes, and he's looked good during his time. Lucas Halter, any word on him? I mean, I can't remember if he's still out, or have you heard anything different, or is he available for us tomorrow versus Seattle?
So I'm gonna ask tomorrow during the press conference from Ben Olsen, and I'm sure whatever information that either Herman Benitez or OSG get, because they're gonna be at training. If they're able to go,
Yeah,
that would be nice. But I'm sure Herman's gonna ask first. But yeah, I wouldn't say because last time that we asked like last week or so, it still looked like it was up in the air. So
yeah.
we'll see. I hope everything's fine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with the international break, you hope that he was able to take advantage of that time off and do all the rehabbing and all the massaging of whatever the injury was prior to help him get back on field. Because obviously, like I said, the defensive side of the ball were kind of thin. Especially with the center backs, especially with Eric having a red card and being out as well. So, it would be great to have Halter available. Maybe not, obviously, maybe not starting, but maybe just available in case we need him. Because obviously, like I said, Seattle's a very dangerous team. Although, they're 5 games in, they've only scored 5 goals up to this point. But at the end of the day, this team is very dangerous, and whenever they get the opportunity, they can go up there and score, and unfortunately, we've been on the bad receiving end, like you mentioned, like for the last decade of high scoring Seattle Sounder teams. So I mean, hopefully that doesn't continue. Hopefully we can switch the trend around and maybe garner our third win in a decade off of these guys, especially at home, because that would be a big boost as far as the standings go. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to talk about the FC Dallas game, but that was a very up and down, exciting game. But unfortunately, it didn't go our way, and because of that, we've fallen behind. As far as the points goes, I think we're ninth or 10th on the table, if I'm not mistaken, in the Western Conference. So obviously, that's not a good position to be in at the moment with four games in, 5 games coming up. But obviously, like I said, early in the season, hopefully everything goes well, and hopefully we get some people remember to put up the scoring boots. What's going on, Kyle? Welcome in, my guy. Thank you for checking in with us. But yeah, man. Anything else you want to add to the Seattle game? We'll talk predictions here in a bit. But anything else that you want to add as far as the Seattle side or maybe the Dynamo side?
Yeah, like on top of the players that you mentioned for Seattle, they also have Rusnak, a
Yeah.
a very dangerous attacking player that came out of RSL. And when he came out of RSL, I was hoping he could just come to Houston, but he ended up going to Seattle. And of course, Paul Rothrock, he has our number. Every single time we play against Seattle, every time he plays, he just dominates. So he's gonna be one of those players that's gonna be coming in from the wing, and if we are not on our toes, we're gonna get destroyed. So every single time against Rothrock, he's just so annoying. But
Yeah,
he's just
I'm
the type
I'm
of
not
players
a
that we
big
have to
fan of
watch out
his.
for. Yeah,
Not a big fan of his. Honestly, something about the kid really grinds my gears. I guess I don't know what it is. Ever since he's played, I've seen him play whatever, especially against us, obviously because it's really the main times that I really see him play. But something about the way he plays doesn't really catch my drift. I don't know what it is, but but obviously, like I said, you always have those kind of players. Those kind of and Seattle has a ton of those players, like kind of like the glue players, right? That are willing to do the dirty work, so that way, like the Rusnacks, like you mentioned, and the Morrises and the Morrises and the Rondos can go out there and do their job and score goals and stuff like that. So that's what always makes Seattle so dangerous. Um, yeah, so I mean, I'm not a big fan of the player, but obviously he gets the job done. He does what he does, and he's obviously scored goals against us as well in his young career. I think he just signed an extension with them, whatever. So I mean, that's good for him as far as continuing his career with Seattle. And what can you say about Seattle? I mean, that hasn't been said already. I mean, I've mentioned it throughout the time that I've been on different on these airways and different podcasts in the past that Seattle is one of those model franchises. Obviously, one of the the only one of the only MLS clubs to ever win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Obviously their trophy case is full of trophies, accomplishments, just great victories and great times, but you know, hopefully, like I said, that's what the Houston Dynamo aspire to be. And like I said, hopefully we can put a foot on their necks this weekend.
yeah, and mostly for us, it's gonna just come down to how obviously we can definitely score goals, but the question is gonna be if Seattle just stay back after they're in a good position to just take the result. I feel like that's where Houston can struggle because Seattle, I feel like they're gonna come into this game knowing that Guillermo has to be triple teamed, quadruple teamed, and as long as him and you could say Lawrence and Ali, and you don't have to even worry about Ponce, and maybe you can keep an eye on everybody else. I feel like it really comes down to, like I said previously, getting on Houston's head to mess up their game. And hey, maybe you get a red card. If they get a red card, it's game over. I feel like, especially against Seattle. So Houston have to be on their A game. They have to win this game.
Kyle says on the chat, let's be honest, it's going to come down to whether, if we can, to whether and if we can play on
Yeah,
wet field. I mean, who knows? I don't see. I mean, as far as the weather goes, it looks like it's going to be a good day to play. I don't think the rain's going to come until Sunday, but I mean, obviously, you never know. I'm not a meteorologist, so I mean, we'll see what happens that for game time at that time. But yeah, but as far as like talk about Guillermo, I mean, he's had a fantastic he's had an amazing start to his Dynamo career, right? Seven goal contributions, 4 goals, 3 assists, and it's an amazing time to see a player like that come in, especially like I said, with the weight of being a DP on his shoulders. He's come in, he's really taking the bull by the horns, and he's gone out there and he's scored goals, right? And that's great to see. But obviously, as that continues, it just puts more pressure on the other side, on the right side of the offense. And we're talking Ponce, we're talking Borges, we're talking Holmes, we're talking Linger, you know, to kind of step up and help balance it out, because otherwise it'll be one of those things where when after Kyoto left the Dynamo and it was at least on the right side, and everybody knew, hey, the Dynamo are nothing without Elise, and as long as we block out Elise, The Dynamo have no other scoring option, and we just don't want to be that one dimensional because otherwise, that's like I said, that stunts our offense, and I that's not the offense I want. I mean, like I said, I'm happy that Guillermo's got onto the quick start that he's gone. He scored goals, he's assisted, all that great stuff. But on the left side, it looks great. With Denali and Guillermo and those boys. But on the right side, we need to start picking it up, especially on with Borges. Obviously being our big acquisition this offseason, he needs to pick it up a little bit. He seems to be like it seems to me like the game is a little slow for him, and he seems to be out there as far as physically present, like a dominant force. But obviously, we need that ball to go to the back of the net. We need him causing problems. We need him distributing the ball to Ponce and to Guillermo, whoever's on the other side, and all that good stuff. And then just continuing the path of basically evening out the offensive flow of the game. So that's what I want to see. That's kind of what I want to see. Pay a little focus on. I want the right side of the offense to do a little bit better. Obviously, up the middle as well. When it comes to Ponce, I think Ponce obviously he's been a little bit nicked up here and there, but I mean it's a big year for him in my opinion, where he needs to show out. He needs to start contributing as far as scoring goals and maybe distributing the ball as well to his two wingers. But he needs to really have a show out game and start scoring goals here pretty soon, because otherwise, like I said, the the battle cry of Ponce out is already starting to creep up again, and it just gets louder and louder and louder. And once it starts to get to a certain volume, it's kind of hard to put it away. But I mean, you can shut these people up as soon as you start scoring goals and putting the ball in the back of the net. So I hope to see Ponce out there and obviously scoring goals pretty soon, if not as soon as this Saturday. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Predictions?
Hmm. I don't like that. Uh, man, I want Houston to win, but Seattle's going to be so annoying. I feel like, mm, screw it. I'm gonna say 3-2 Houston. That's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be a wild game. I feel like Seattle's gonna have an understanding of what we're trying to do, and at that point, it's gonna be out of control for both teams. And if Houston's able to, obviously rely on Guillermo, I feel like that's definitely gonna happen. But also
Yeah.
get that win more than anything,
Well,
if
yeah. I mean, it'd be
possible.
great. So who scores your three goals?
Okay, Guillermo gets one. I'm gonna say, uh, hmm, I say Lawrence gets one, and I'm also gonna say that Antonio Carlos gets one.
Nice set piece.
Yeah.
Nice. And Ollie's starting to look a lot more comfortable now playing behind Guillermo. That's what I like seeing. He looks very comfortable out there. Obviously, he scored against Dallas, and that's good to see. Obviously, he's one of our like bright lights on his team as far as like youth players and stuff like that, along with McGlynn. Um, I was happy to see him score. I was happy to see him very involved in the game. Obviously in the first half prior to the red card that they got in Frisco. So I think if we can get some kind of outlook like that and output like that, where not the slow start, not where Dallas scores two goals right off the bit, and then we're playing comeback. But I think if we can get a offensive output like that, I mean, it'd be nice, to see, especially at home, you know. And like I said, it's not as hot as Houston can get, but obviously it's not the cool temperatures that Seattle are accustomed to. So I mean, you can use that to your advantage. 3-2 would be a great score line, to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I think maybe a tie is more in line. I think I'll go 2-2 on this one. It'll be a 2-2 tie. And for me, who scores the goals? Let's go with a Borges brace. I think Mati needs to.
Yeah, Martin needs something. Yeah, I
Mati
like
needs
that.
Yeah, I think he needs to start showing out. Needs to start showing that he's worth the money that he was brought in with. Obviously, I would love to see Ponce score as well, but I mean, but well, I'll take it wherever I can. But I think this is more of a game where it goes into ties because, like I said, Seattle is very dangerous, and it might not be a 2-2 tie. It might be just a 0-0 draw. But I think, like I said, Seattle are more than willing to play that nasty ugly game where they play to a 0-0 draw. For them, they just want to rack up points at the end, and especially if they're racking up points at the away from home, it's good for them. Obviously, like golden points or road points are golden points in my book. And if Seattle comes here and gets the tie, obviously they get a point from us. It's a good look from them. And like I said, I don't think that Shoddy and those guys, the coaching staff for Seattle is never opposed to playing ugly game and just sitting back and whatever, just let the game come to them. And whether that means they get the opportunity to go and score a goal or not, as long as they're able to get the point, I think that's what they're really looking forward to. So I think it'll be a tie. Hopefully, maybe it's a entertaining tie and not just a 0-0 to draw. What's going on, G Money? Giuseppe, what's going on, my guy? Damn, you showed up late. Nah, it's all good, buddy. I showed up late. So if I showed up late, you can't. It's no way you can show up late, man. We appreciate the continued support and the fact that you're here, man. So what's up, my guy? Um, Anything else that you want to add as far as the this matchup?
No, it's gonna come down to concentration more than anything.
Yeah, I
It,
believe so.
Especially for us defensively at this point, since we're still figuring out our structure, or just have a fair understanding on the plays are really important to us. And Sviatchenko being out of the picture is a huge hit. So it's gonna come down to them again.
Let's talk about the structure a little bit, man. Do you are you still comfortable with the three in the back?
I am. It's more so that since we don't have, like I said, like a specific set of players that are in the back line consistently enough, I feel like it really ruins how they're able to build that way, or like not just build chemistry but also build that type of understanding to approach games and your awareness. Because if you don't build those things, especially awareness where there where each teammate is at the moment, and who to defend and who to mark, like it's really difficult to just have that, to develop the type of understanding if you don't really stick together and grow over the course of the season. And granted, it's still early. We haven't played 5 games yet. Even we still got plenty of time. But at this rate, if we don't have all those players available and Ben Olsen just out there just developing that type of chemistry, I feel like it affects how they can play three in the back. So I think it's big. I think that as of right now, it's not working for that reason, but it can work eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I ask, and obviously consistency is key, right? And what's going on, Dago? Welcome in, my guy. Just got out of church. That's good, man. I hope you had a little bit of a prayer in there for the dynamo and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a tough situation because especially like I said, the consistency, right? It is, and you're trying to learn a new position as far as like playing a new formation and how to play it and all that good stuff. And it doesn't help that we're losing a defender every game to a red card, and then they're not available for the next game, right? And then obviously the halter injury, the little nick up, didn't help us at all either, as far as and hopefully he's available for us this game day on Saturday. But the reason I asked is just because obviously the games have been kind of up and down. A lot of goals have been scored up against us. I mean, fortunately, like I said, we've won 2 games, we've lost 2 games, but it's been high scoring games and things like that, and a lot of goals have been put in the back of the net. And when I was asked, I think I asked this question in the preseason. I'm not sure if I remember asking this question, but I think I asked it. And I asked, "Hey, out of all the positions on the team, which do you feel is the weakest?" And I think I answered what my answer was, goalkeeping, right? Because I think like even though Jonathan Bond has done an amazing job, he's done a lot of he's had a lot of amazing saves this season. I still kind of like I feel like it's a position where we can upgrade on, but obviously he's a standard MLS keeper. I'm not gonna rate him too high. I'm not gonna rate him too low. I mean, I think he's average, right? But the fact of the matter, where we like the same thing with last season, this season we haven't had the consistency on defense where it helps out and helps him out, as far as not allowing goals into the back of the net. Because I mean, obviously it's a concerning thing. We've only played 4 games, and we've already allowed 9 goals. So it's 2.5 goals per game. So it's not a good look defensively. It's not you're not gonna win games that way, allowing 2.5 goals per game, throughout the season. So it's a concerning issue that I think we need to nip in the butt, sooner rather than later. Obviously, stop picking up red cards, defenders, because we need y'all to be on the pitch. What's going on, Mike? Mike says, any updates on Halter? I haven't heard any official word on him. Um, Andres said that Hedman and OSG will be at practice tomorrow, and they'll ask, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get an official statement on that. And then obviously, hopefully we see him on the match day 18 on game day on Saturday. So nothing official from the Dynamo yet. Hopefully we're crossing our fingers for good news for Lucas. Uh, but yeah, man. Like I said, but I wouldn't be opposed to going back to the back four, man. I don't. To be honest, the only thing we need is a legit right back, and that's something that we can look forward for. But I mean, I'll look forward to and have maybe pick up in the summer transfer window. But I mean, but like I said, um, it's been hard to judge because, like I said, we just haven't had the consistency back there with the back three. So Mike says, "Bro, no, nobody makes as many saves with his face as good old 007. Come on, that's a skill." Yeah, man. Like I said, look, Jonathan Bonner has made some great saves these first 4 games, and obviously, like I said, it's we could have allowed up to maybe 12, 13 goals already in these first 4 games, but we should be lucky that's only 9, right? But still, it's just one of those things where the defense needs to start holding it down for us because obviously, look, we're getting a little bit of an offensive output as far as with Guillermin and everybody, but and McGlynn distributing the ball, but like I said, it doesn't matter if we score 3 goals if the opponent's scoring 4 goals on us every other game. Then it's a tough way to keep up in this league and win. So you score 3 goals on the road, you should be able to win that game, in my opinion. So but we'll see. Hopefully, like I said, we have a better defensive output against Seattle. Seattle's having a tough time scoring the ball right now to start the season. Like I said, 5 goals to start off the 5 games that they played, so they're only scoring 1 goal on average per game. So maybe we can lower that average for them down, and we can score more goals on them. But yeah, anything else that you want to add, Andres, before we move on to the next topic?
No, yeah. Honestly, this game is gonna tell us a lot. And even though we still have players missing and potentially more players missing outside of the players are suspended,
Mhm.
I feel like it's gonna be a good test to see where we are at to start the year. And if we get that win against Seattle, it's gonna be huge. So we need to get those 3 points immediately.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I wasn't here for last week to talk about the away game, but the frustrating thing was just not. I mean, obviously, you don't never want to lose the Texas Derby, but to
Yeah,
get to pull a win out on the road, especially against your one of your biggest rivals, and then to move up the ladder on the table is something that you want to consistently see on a consistent basis, right? Like I said, we've only played 4 games, and we're not where we want to be on the table. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to look, but I think we're ninth or 10th on the table in the Western Conference, and that's not where we want to be. That's where we lingered every. Those are the spots that we lingered out around every last season, and I don't want to repeat it last season. That's basically what I don't want. So I feel like the opportunities come for the Dynamo. They need to take advantage of them and make sure that they do everything they can to hold on to those points. and stop getting red cards. Stop
Yep.
getting red cards, please, for heaven's sakes. No more red cards.
Stop. Stop.
But with that being said, obviously, the the MLS season is on its way. Um, we don't have any kind of breaks or any kind of significant break, from here on out until somewhere sometime in June, right before the World Cup starts and all that stuff. But you know, it's going to be a lot of great soccer coming up, and obviously, with that being said, today the announcement of who we will be facing in the United States Open Championship has been announced, and the U.S. Open Cup. I'm sorry, the U.S.
Open
Open
go.
Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking something else. The U.S. Open Cup has been announced. We are in the Carlos Bocanegra region of the Cup, and we will be facing at home on April 15th, if I'm not mistaken, El Paso Locomotive. And then the other side of the bracket will be Louisville FC hosting Austin FC, and that other side of the bracket to face the winner of us later on in the month. I believe the 20th or 29th to be
Yep.
determined. So I mean, U.S. Open Cup, the Dynamo are two-time winners of the Cup in 2018 and 22. Obviously, it's been a great cup for a great tournament for us the last couple of years. Last year wasn't necessarily on. Unfortunately, we lost to Austin FC, who ended up going making a run to the final last year. But maybe, hopefully, we can pay them back, and maybe we can make a nice little cup run. As this will be our only cup competition this year. We did not qualify for the League's Cup as we didn't make the playoffs last year. So this is really the cup that we're looking forward to, as far as maybe lifting a title outside of MLS competition. So your thoughts on the opponent, and what do you think? Do you think they're going to put a lot of emphasis on this cup, especially since we're not involved in League's Cup, and obviously not in the CONCACAF Champions Cup either? So
Yeah, they have to. You kind of said it. We're not in Leagues Cup this year, which is a first since the tournament was introduced. So just having the Open Cup and having the ability to have more players out or have more playing opportunities for your players on your roster, it's it's huge. And of course, starting the campaign against El Paso Locomotive is going to be a good opportunity to get everybody in from the bench some minutes, like bring in some of those players because they need it. Him and Matthew Rana, man, this is the Matthew Rana game. Like it's impossible. You cannot have Matthew Rana not play this game because this was the game he has to play. Like no matter the context heading into it, but yeah, honestly, like this is a very few opportunities this year you're gonna have to get those type of minutes to the players you don't typically see on a weekly basis. So I hope he plays. I hope we get to see more academy players come in. We definitely talked a lot about those and how they're progressing in the last episode, and we'll get into that later on. But yeah, we got a lot of talent. We got a lot of upswing players that are really hungry to prove themselves, and this is the first step. And you kind of said already, if we win this game and we advance, we host the winner between Austin FC and Louisville City. So it's gonna be a good opportunity. I hope we make a deep run. This tournament is really important to me, and and for a lot of soccer fans around the country. So it's it's something I'm gonna keep an eye on, especially as we get closer to kickoff.
yeah, I was about to ask you. You kind of answered the question before I could ask it, but obviously, in the beginning stages of the cup run, we see a lot more of the younger players or those players who get called up. I mean, and I was going to ask you, like, if there's one or two players that you want to see get significant amount of minutes, in these cup games to not only obviously keep them fresh, but to get a better understanding and chemistry as far as the first team under Ben Olsen instead of playing just for Dynamo Dos.
And I was checking the calendar because this is gonna be a midweek game that's gonna be on Wednesday, the
Mhm.
13th, if I'm not mistaken, the 15th. Sorry, the
Yeah.
15th.
Tax
and
day.
that's gonna be after the visit to Colorado Rapids and right before the trip to Orlando. So this is a critical two road games that if we don't rest our players, it's gonna be big bad, and of course the injuries that we have to consider and
Hmm.
suspensions. So hopefully no suspensions by then, but
Well, the
knock on,
suspensions don't count towards the U.S. Open
knock,
Cup game, so
knock on wood. But just to take advantage of the fact that they're gonna have time to like rest, or they can
yeah.
just like play the starters in the Open Cup. Might as well since they're not gonna be playing. But yeah, it depends honestly.
Yes. Yeah, so there's three players that I'm looking at as far as like, who I want to see have significant minutes in this game against El Paso. And hopefully we have a deep enough run in the cup where, obviously they can continue playing and make a statement in these cup games. But that would be for me, obviously you mentioned him earlier, Matthew Arana, who is the 15-year-old that we signed that obviously he's on the first team and one of the youngest Dynamo player to ever put on a Dynamo first to play for the Dynamo first team. So he would, I would assume that he would get a lot of run in this game against El Paso. Another guy that I would love to see would be Agustin Rech, which is the Argentine uh, defender, the giant that we call him, 6'6" giant of an Argentine. Who obviously, like I said, got kind of thrown into the fire, and he has stood his ground, but I would like to see him play a much more of a full game, starting from the get go, see how he goes up against that kind of competition and all that good stuff, and just get some more minutes underneath his belt, and to get more confidence playing out there with whoever it is who plays alongside him, whether it be an Antonio Carlos or a Halter or Eric or whoever it is out there. And then last and not least, Markinich, obviously he is the all-time leading goal scorer in a single season with 26 goals. So obviously him playing against an El Paso Locomotive is nothing that he hasn't seen prior in his career.
USL Championship, yeah, in full
So it
context.
would be nice to see him go out there, play a competitive game and have more than just a quick 10-minute stint to go out there and have make something do, and obviously go out there and produce for us in the Open Cup game. You always, I think, having these young players, especially in the history, especially in the two runs that we made in 18 and 22, you always have those young players come out, who step up. Obviously in 18, it was Mauro Manotas, being the Golden Boot winner in that tournament, scoring I think it was like 6 or 7 goals in that tournament. And then obviously in the 22 version, it was somebody like a Brooklyn Reigns who really stepped up in that season to really kind of solidify whether that he should be somebody who the Dynamo should really start thinking about putting in the first team. And obviously it was in next season he started getting a lot of first team minutes. So obviously, I think it's those three. I think I'm putting my full focus on as far as like I want to see those guys not only start but have huge minutes, and hopefully they make an impact, and then take advantage of the opportunity of this U.S. Open Cup, because you don't want to be one and done in this cup, especially when you have no other cup to look forward to. Um, Obviously as a supporter and as fans, I mean, for those who are watching the show right now, for those who watch it later on, if I know it's Wednesday, I know it's traffic, I know it's downtown, you know April 15th, that might be already start of the playoffs, so the Rockets might be playing. Obviously the Astros are playing, but if you can get out there, and just support, because like I said, um we don't have too many more opportunities of games outside of the MLS season that we'll be able to see the Dynamo in. So, take advantage of it. Go out there and support these guys, and obviously support the youth. And I think those guys would be so happy to see somewhat of a support group out there. On a Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. So get your taxes done early, because obviously it's on tax days, April 15th. That's tax day, so
Yeah,
don't let the excuse be that you just still got to turn in your taxes.
it's in the
Uh,
mail.
yeah. So, but yeah, man. I don't know what else to say too much as far as the opponent. What do you think about as far as like Louisville FC and Louisville City and Austin being on the other side of the bracket?
I just know that Louis. Well, you can just mention Austin FC first, making the run to the final last year while losing to Nashville in Austin, and that really doesn't take much away of the fact that they are a team that, to an extent, that they were rebuilding since last year. They kind of have like some sort of understanding now, like even though it's still somewhat early.
Hmm.
I haven't seen Louisville City or honestly USL Championship in a bit. Like I haven't really kept up with them to start the season because they also started the season uh, somewhat simultaneously with MLS.
Yeah.
But honestly, they I feel like those USL Championship teams, particularly the ones that have been successful, like in between Pittsburgh, even Louisville City, I feel like, and even San Antonio, I feel like those teams they can make a huge run in the right circumstances, and if they get their A game against the MLS teams. Obviously, it's a little bit tricky whenever they're on the road. It kind of sucks for Louisville because they have to play if they manage to go through the next phase, they have to play two road games in the Open Cup. So,
No, they
uh,
host. They host their game against Austin.
are they host against Austin? Okay,
Yeah,
never
they host
mind.
against Austin.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty good actually.
if they win, they would have to come down to Houston.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, if we win, they would have to come down to Houston.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but it that's great honestly. They definitely get a fighting chance against Austin in Louisville. So good luck to them,
Yeah.
and yeah, I look forward to playing them. And we gotta beat El Paso too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of the things. I think as far as like the US Open Cup goes, I think it would make it more interesting, and you would have those cup sets that they talk about so much on online, as far as like, if the like the USL clubs were able to host the first couple of rounds instead of having them go to the MLS stadiums, and stuff like that, because not only would it be great revenue for those guys, because you can see that a lot of the MLS stadiums do be empty, for these cup games. But I think it would be great revenue for the USL clubs, and obviously the lower division behind those clubs that advance to take advantage of, and help them put money in their pockets to further advance their development as well. But obviously, it's just one of those things where I don't know. I think if I was in charge of it, I would make it to where, like, the USL clubs would host all the way up to the round of 16 if they make it to the round of 16, and then after that, that's when depending on how the things fall, whatever, um, the MLS clubs can start hosting or whatever. But neither here nor there. Obviously, like I said, I'm just glad that the Dynamo have the opportunity to host both the round of 32 and the round of 16 if we do get past El Paso. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, like I said, I think that the Dynamo have to put emphasis on this tournament because it's a great opportunity to lift silverware. It's a great opportunity to lift the
Yeah,
silverware. But like I said, basically the only opportunity you're going to get to lift silverware aside from the MLS competition. And also it's a great opportunity to give your young players who are not getting that many minutes on the MLS, to give them a run and to play them in highly competitive games that actually mean something. So I want to see that. I want to see that for the players that I mentioned earlier: Matthew Arana, Agustin Rench, and and Markinich, stuff like that. So I want to see those players have the opportunity to play 2, 3, 4 cup games. Even if we can make a run to the final, that'd be amazing as well, and maybe even lift it for a third time. That would be great as well. I love to see those US Open Cup trophies in Shell Stadium. So a third one would be nice to see. So
I need a third one. Like just to fill the cabinet because uh, I mean, like I said, we kind of won the last, like you could say the last one with the original format, and like the last tournament that had all MLS teams participate.
mhm.
So it's kind of special because now, like after 2023, like it's only been like a set amount of MLS teams that have been participating for some stupid reason, but it is
Yeah,
what it is. Like we gotta
yeah.
win it no matter what.
I don't like the format that they went to after that. I think it's a U.S. Open Cup. I think every team in MLS should have the opportunity to compete in it.
Yeah.
Now, whether they decide to send their first team or their MLS 2 team, that's obviously depending on the organization and what they prioritize. But I think they should have the opportunity to all go. I mean, obviously, I know that they're trying to put a lot of emphasis in the League Cup and trying to make that into a big thing. Obviously with the payout that they're giving out, and obviously with the partnership with Liga MX and things of that nature. It's I understand where they're trying to make it seem like that's a bigger tournament, and some people it might be, but some people they still see it as just a kind of cash grab tournament or whatever. But regardless, here or there, um, any opportunity to lift up silverware is an opportunity that I want the Dynamo to take full advantage of. And like I said, not only do you get the money, which I think the money is a little bit higher than the 300,000 they were giving before. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. Is it even? I think it's a million now, isn't it?
It might be
Maybe.
a million, and I believe the payout also depends on your club. So if you're like the last standing lower division team, you get a little bit more.
Nice.
And yeah, so like honestly, like I like the payout structure. It kind of varies, especially over the years with the sponsorships and all that through U.S. soccer.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's pretty nice. But you can say substantial too, depending like even if you win it.
for sure. And then on top of that, the winner gets a CONCACAF Champions Cup position.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, if not just that, I mean, you play for the fact that not only you get a trophy at the end, but you get a spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So I mean, it's plenty of ammunition for me to be willing to go full throttle in this tournament. So obviously, like I said, we'll have Seattle this weekend. I think you mentioned Colorado next week on the road, and then after that, like I said, we'll see El Paso and then Orlando after that. So a lot of games coming at us quickly. I know we've had like a lot of rev up, pause, like I mentioned earlier, but that is not to be seen now. Like I said, I think for the Dynamo, they just need to back up on the red cards and get the injury list a little shortened because our bench is not as deep as we would like it to be. But you know, a lot of games coming up, a lot of Dynamo talk. This show unfortunately is gonna be a little shorter because obviously we've had a lot of time off, and there's really nothing to talk about. But is there anything else that you want to mention, Andres, before we get out of here today?
Yeah. There's not much to talk about Dynamo Dos because they haven't played yet. They're still on bye, and they're gonna be on bye this weekend. The next game is gonna be in Austin next Sunday. So if you're able to come into Austin, uh, I'm gonna be there. Oshi is gonna be there. We haven't missed a Dose game in Austin since those were created. So I feel like that's
Nice.
our little tradition of watching those in Austin, which is very nice. But those, I mean, if you haven't kept up or if you haven't uh, uh, caught up to the last episode, Oshi and I talked about those after their game against North Texas C, the FC Dallas's MLS Next Pro 2 team, MLS Next Pro team, and now Houston, they're coming in 4 games, 4 wins, no goals conceded yet. So
Mm.
they're like a brick wall and a scoring machine at the same time. So
That's
they,
not that's what we call a juggernaut.
that's a juggernaut right there, and they well they were at the top of the Western Conference standings for a bit. St. Louis, they did play a game. Houston has a game in hand over them, but they did play a game, and they're currently technically like in first in the West. But
Mm.
Houston, man, they look pretty good. I highly encourage you to watch those if you haven't already this season. And the next opportunity is gonna be against Austin FC2 next weekend. Man, like they do have some really good players. The talent is right there, and kind of like what I talked about when we talk about the Open Cup. Like these are some of these players. Could use some time, especially in that Open Cup game against El Paso. And I'm looking forward to that game against Austin. Austin is still figuring things out. Austin FC2, and man, those led by Jeremy Hurdle, interim head coach once again
Mm.
for those. He's getting the job done. Like I like what he's doing with his project still, and I'm looking forward to that next game in Austin.
Who's a player from Dynamo Dos that people should be looking out for as far as like a potential or obviously, maybe a potential call up for the U.S. Open Cup, and maybe a future call up for a match day as far as a first team signing.
Honestly, outside of Arana, since he already has a first team contract,
Hmm.
uh, Thomas Weissner. So I was very impressed by him because he's coming out of a leg injury. If you don't if you guys can recall, he was signed last year as one of the injured players.
Oh,
I
he's the
believe he
Czech
had
player,
a
right? He's the Czech chin.
yes, and like I believe he was the one that had a broken leg, and he had a lot of time to recover, and he's playing for those for the first time, and no, like he is super fast, super technical, like he has the ball glued to his leg at all times. Whenever you're able to watch him, and he's already scored goals for those, and he's just a threat. If I hope he keeps it up. I hope he keeps that momentum. I, I don't think we'll see him in the first team just yet because he still has to get some playing time after that injury. But if he keeps it up, I feel like probably later on the season he could have a shot. So I look forward to that. And we did have more Brazilians come in. Well, I have to address Matteo Di Morelli. He leads the team. He's leading the team in goals right now. Di Morelli, and he's gonna get a shot with the first team pretty soon. Now, if I have to pick a player that from those that deserve a shot for the Open Cup game, I feel like it's Di Morelli. He's gonna be one of those players. So I look forward to that. And the
Nice.
last one, man, our Brazilians are doing pretty good, bro. We have our own Vinicius, and our Vinicius scored. So watch out for that.
Nice. Nice. We have a little South American pot down there, a little Brazilian FC and Dynamo Dos. So that's good. I'm glad to see obviously the future doing really well. Like I said, he's 4 games in, 4 games winning, no goals allowed. So that's amazing. It's a fantastic start actually. Still shout out to the Dynamo Dos, and shout out to you guys who go out there and catch them and support those guys. So and obviously Andres and OSG, who continue the tradition of supporting Dynados in Austin whenever they go up there to go play against those guys. So, but with that said, Andres, unless there's anything else you want to talk about, man, let the people know where they can find us.
Yeah, man. Dynamic Foxtrot, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. Also, that's also gonna be your handle on YouTube, or you can just look up Foxtrot TV, and you're gonna find us there. We do appreciate your support as always through all those channels. We try to keep you guys covered on all bases as much as possible. All three teams are in action. Dynamo Dash Dos, and a lot has been going on. So make sure you're staying tuned. And if you're watching this live on Foxtrot TV, we do appreciate your support. Shout out to Mike P, G Money, Marquinho, Dago, Kyle's vlog. I wasn't able to like keep up with the comments during the episode because for some reason the comments were lagging. But I do appreciate your support as always, guys. And every time you tune in live, it's pretty good. So thank you guys for engaging with the chat tonight. And we are 17 subs away from 400, guys. 400 subs on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed and let your friends know about Dynamic Foxtrot, Foxtrot TV, Foxtrot Media. It means a lot to us. And of course, we do have a giveaway coming up with VA400. Mark didn't tell you, but he has like a bag full of Elite cards with him. Like he's not gonna show it on camera because it's still a secret, supposedly. But
Autos.
autos. But yeah, we got a giveaway plan for you guys pretty soon. As soon as we hit it, and of course, dynamicfoxtrot.com. That's the main platform. We're gonna have all of our content for you guys in one place. So check it out. You can watch the podcast there, listen to the podcast there. Check out Fox in the Box, our blog, and our brand new gallery with our pictures for our Dynamo and Dash games. So check everything out if you haven't already. DynamicFoxtrot.com. And yeah, guys, let's get the win against Seattle, please. No red cards, just wins.
For sure, for sure. And to piggyback off what Andres says, shout out to the Dash. You're doing great, great start to the season. Shout out to OSG and Danny who do the Dash Dispatch, and shout out to Hermin, who do cover the Dynamo in Spanish for us. and everybody else who helps us out as far as with Noodle Time TV and all that good stuff. Appreciate the support from you guys, G Money, Mike, all those guys on the chat. Appreciate all the love and support, continued support. Andres said 17 left. Man, dude, 17. We can get 17 subs before.
Yeah,
Let's try to get 17 subs before the U.S. Open Cup game. That's what, April 15th. We're at April 2nd. 13 days. That's
13th.
almost
Yeah,
a sub a day. Let's try to
Saturday.
get the 400 before we get to the U.S. Open Cup game, guys. Obviously, that it'll help out with you guys that are on the chat. Um, Tell your mother, your father, your sister, your mom, your wife, your lover, whoever, to just click the subscribe button, man, and follow us. Like I said, 400 subs. We're gonna be doing a nice little giveaway. It'll be some legend autos and a lot of other stuff, and a couple of other things, and a little gift mystery bag or whatever for reaching 400 subs. And then obviously after that, we'll be looking forward to 450 and 500 and above. So, but without you guys, obviously we can't even get there until we get there. So we appreciate all the love, support. And with that being said, guys, for this Friday, the dash, for Saturday with the Dynamo and Dynamo Dos, let's hold it down for H Town, and let's see these boys and ladies win and get these W's, man. Get these W's up. Let's score these goals. No more red cards, please. No more red
No
cards.
more. No more. Stay noodle, yo.
Stay noodle.